Do you know how easy it is to waste money on Google Ads? You can send traffic to the wrong domain name, you can send traffic to the wrong landing page, you can send traffic from the wrong location. There's so many points of failure in a Google Ads campaign, and in this video, I'm going to go over exactly what those are so that you can look out for them and you can employ my strategy, which is to audit these early and often. And so let's get into it. Again, my name is Chelsea So. I've been managing Google Ads for over 20 years across over 100 brands, at least through audits or working together directly or consulting. I've overseen teams of Google Ads specialists. I have a current team of Google Ads specialists, and this is a legitimate and high priority process that we have to implement to make sure that we don't accidentally overspend clients' budgets, especially when they're significantly large budgets. And so I'm going to show you exactly where these points of failures are in these Google Ad campaigns. So let's get into it. Now, the first one is your landing page URL. If you mistype, misspell, or misuse, misenter the URL for your Google Ads campaigns, you're going to waste money. And when you do that on behalf of a client, it is gut-wrenching. And so don't make that mistake. So the best thing to do, I always like to copy paste and confirm that that link works. So if you're going to use a URL anywhere in Google Ads, it is a requirement to paste that thing into a browser and make sure that it renders properly. And then you also have to confirm that that URL is the correct URL for the campaign so that you don't have any issues or misunderstandings. So double confirm, not only just making sure that you have the right URL, but also making sure that that thing loads. Now, if you have a broken URL, this happens. Sometimes the URL works great and then something happens down the road. Google will find this and pick up on it, but it takes a little while. So if you have high budgets, you're spending lots of money every day, then you might have a significant amount of spend sending people to a broken page. So you definitely want to avoid that. There are also scripts that you can run hourly that will check your URLs. So take a look at those because that is super helpful to give you any alert for an issue with your URL. The next point of failure is locations. Now you have to hand select each targeted location for each campaign in your Google Ads account. And if you get that wrong or you accidentally delete your location targeting, then you're going to be spending in places that you did not intend to. And that has actually happened to me. I was a bit sleep deprived, and I remember it was the end of the day and I was optimizing locations. I went home, I came back, and I had been targeting the entire world, but I accidentally deleted my location targeting somehow. And if you do that, if you have no location targeting, Google will then target the entire world. And it's amazing how many people search in English all over the world. It does happen a lot. And so don't make that mistake. Make sure that you're auditing your locations for every campaign that you're running, making sure that it's the accurate locations that you want to be targeting so that you're not accidentally sending traffic from all over the world to your website and wasting money, because it can happen. And point of failure number 3 is demographics. Now you can exclude specific demographics from seeing your ads, and these are in groups of ages. You also have household income, and you also have gender. You also, as a matter of fact, have whether the person's a parent or not. And so you could exclude someone if they're a parent, if they're not a parent. But when it comes to things like ages, that is more common because maybe somebody who's 65 and older doesn't really apply for what you're selling. Or maybe it's those 18 to 24-year-olds who are not really in the life stage to do what it is that you offer. And so you want to exclude those age demographics. Now, if you don't exclude them and you spend a ton of money on those age demographics, it's almost like throwing it in the trash in some scenarios, right? Like if you're like someone who's 24 and younger will never, ever, ever buy what we're selling, then why are you serving your ads to them? You shouldn't. You should exclude those demographics. So you can definitely do that. Now, Google knows the ages and the demographics of the users because they are typically logged into their Google account and they have that data. They can look at you and your user behavior and guess how old you are, so they'll do that. There's also an option for unknown. So if Google doesn't know if you're a parent, if they don't know what your age is or your household income is, then you're grouped in that unknown category. So you can't exclude everybody who's in a demographic that you don't want unless you turn off unknown. You could do that. I always think, well, what if, somebody's kid is on their mom's phone and then they're clicking on your ads? I definitely know that happens. You can avoid stuff like that, but you can definitely make sure that you're auditing your demographics exclusions to make sure that you're not wasting money on unwanted demographics. Not because the people are bad, it's because you want to spend your money wisely and you're just having improved targeting for your campaigns. So make sure that you're checking your demographics exclusions. It's included with your audiences in the campaign level. Google Ads campaign point of failure number 4, your daily budget. Now, if you are not appropriately setting your daily budget, then you run the risk of overspending your campaigns. And especially if this is like a display campaign or sometimes a YouTube campaign, Google will 2x your budget. And that has happened to me before. I had an old budget that was set very high, and when we were relaunching, it was at a much lower budget going forward, and that budget was not updated. I spent $1,600 by 3 p.m. It was an $800 daily budget, and Google spent it double by 3 p.m. is when I finally caught that. And yeah, it was very unfortunate. So you want to make sure, obviously, that you're pacing your budgets well. And Google does need some breathing room and flexibility to use budgets to capture good traffic on good days, and then they can pull back on slower days. But so they are able to spend 2x your budget. That's just the rules. But make sure that you have good daily budgets set in place so you're not spending excess budget that you don't have or don't want to be spending, or you're messing up your flighting and your traffic levels throughout the month. So daily budgets, they're pretty important, I would say, and it's easy to accidentally overspend. Now, anything that Google spends over 2 times your budget, that's refunded to you. So if your budget is $100 and they spend $250, then you get that $50 back, but they're allowed to spend 2x your budget. It's just how it is. So keep that in mind in your campaigns. Number 5 has to do with your campaign status. So I have had instances where campaigns that were pending to go live were uploaded into Google as enabled or active. And so they started spending money before it was approved, and that budget was not approved. So that is a big mistake that can happen. What I like to do now, because of that error, is always set a campaign daily budget to $1. That way, if you accidentally leave it turned on and not pause like it's supposed to be, or a team member does that, then it'll be spending $1 a day and it's not that big of a deal. But that's an easy way to accidentally waste money on Google if you have an active campaign that's not supposed to be. And it's literally a toggle, so it's easy to turn on. Another thing is when you're supposed to end a campaign and either you misunderstood, you didn't have it set, you weren't told, something like that. So there is a feature in the campaign settings to set an end date for a campaign. I always make sure those are set. I always audit those to make sure that there's no issues when it comes to specific flights for different campaign types and promotions or things. And so make sure you have those end dates in place, and make sure those campaigns get paused when they're supposed to. There's also, if you're ending a campaign and you don't pause it, your end date is in place so that it will stop spending. And so it's a really good fail-safe to make sure that you're not spending past a certain date if that's the case for that specific campaign. Number 6 is wrong audiences. Now, if you accidentally add a wrong audience, or you forget to add an audience, or you accidentally pause an audience in an ad group that has a campaign still running, then Google will start serving your ads to all audiences. And so that's something you want to avoid happening. It's happened to me before. Luckily, once you have an established campaign and Google kind of knows exactly who your audience is, and they've got all this conversion data coming in, you can actually accidentally pause an ad group and it will still get conversions. That's actually happened to me before, but it's something you want to avoid. Make sure that your audiences are added to your ad groups and never paused by mistake, especially if it's just one audience in an ad group. So watch out for those audiences. And the 7th point of failure in your Google Ads campaigns are irrelevant search terms. This one drives me bananas because you hate to waste money on searches and clicks that you have no intention of driving to your website. And it happens due to the keyword match types. Sometimes it's a little bit unavoidable, but it's something that you can obviously keep an eye on and monitor and add exclusions to prevent it from happening again. So that is definitely something that has to take place when you're optimizing and managing your campaigns. You have to review your search terms reports and exclude anything that is irrelevant. The best thing to do is to do all that research ahead of launching the campaigns to make sure that you're preventing that irrelevant traffic, especially when it's very closely related, or it's something where, like, sometimes the word free, like freebie, when you're trying to sell something, like that's an obvious thing that you can prevent people from searching for when they're clicking on your ads. Irrelevant search terms is definitely something that you want to keep your eye on. You want to make sure that you are adding negative keywords before you launch a campaign to prevent wasted ad spending, and then learning from irrelevant search keywords to then add new negative keywords to prevent them from coming back again and getting clicks. And so there's lots of opportunities to waste ad spend. Unfortunately, it's super easy. It's kind of scary when you're managing large budgets. So you have to have really great processes in place to make sure that you're not wasting any ad spending when it comes to managing Google Ads campaigns, knowing all of the inherent opportunities and really like landmines that are out there to mess you up. And so I've been doing this for so long that I have a lot of those in place already. And I've made lots of mistakes that I've been able to learn from. And so luckily nothing too crazy, but it could absolutely happen, which is a little bit terrifying. And so you want to make sure, especially if you're managing large budgets, that you have these fail safes in place. Now, this list of points of failures is a really great starting point, but it's really hard to make sure that you can fortify your campaigns to ensure that you don't have any wasted ad spending that is occurring in your campaigns, especially accidental spend. That's really gut-wrenching when that happens. And so you really need a professional who's been there, who knows exactly where the weak points are, what processes need to be in place, who's learned from mistakes. And so if you are interested in working with me, check out the link in the description below. I provide a complimentary audit if you qualify, and we can definitely get on the phone and talk about some of these weak points of where you could be wasting ad spend. I hope it's not something that you've experienced personally already, but it is a bit of a rite of passage, I would say, if you're managing Google Ads campaigns. So if you want to mitigate that and work with somebody who's already been there, who's already have the battle wounds, battle scars, then definitely check out the description and the link below. You can also check out this video where I go through how to audit a Google Ads campaign and make sure that you're getting 20% better results within the first 30 days. Check out that video. And if you're interested in that free audit, go ahead and apply. Use the link in the description below, and I will see you in the next video.